Okay, this is an attempt to go through Jeff's Git problems. I haven't pulled anything down. This may require lots of editing, but let's find out where we go. Right. FujiNet. Firmware. Git status. Right, Git status is your friend. It is always going to tell you where you are, any branches that you're on, what kind of state your current directory is in, and tells you, have you got anything pushed? Is everything good? Are you in the middle of a rebase? Is there a problem? Do you need to do any fixes? At the moment I'm on hashing. That's where I've been doing some changes. I have a little command called git history, which I'll put in git hist, which I'll put in as a comment later. And effectively, it's a special log command. Grep hist. You can see it's just this command. It does a shell. It does git log pretty format, blah, 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 dash graph, dates are short, and then some magic numbers at the end. I can just, so I can override which branch and how many lines to show. So git hist 5, show me the last 5 lines of history. The most important numbers here are these things. These are the short commit numbers. And it's always good before you're doing anything, like rebasing, various other things, to maybe keep a log of these. If you've got these as they are, these are your commit IDs, and they are incredibly useful because you can jump back to them at any time. Git doesn't, unless it does a garbage collect of its own repo, which is extremely rare, you can jump straight to this commit and do anything you want. You can also see that this commit is the point of the upstream origin master. It's the upstream origin hashing because I've merged hashing back into master. It's my local hashing, and it's also the remote origin, which is the FujiNet Wi-Fi repository's head commit, according to what my repository thinks of the state of the world at the moment. So I'm going to check out master. Let's get back into master. Behind by 1. And this is where I can do, again, I can do git hist 5. We can see that the last commit I had was 44CAE. I had FujiNet IEC, Fuji Apple, target for Fuji Apple C64 board. Okay, cool. So that was some stuff I did for the build script. But if I do git status, I've got st as a little command, which is an alias for that. We'll see that we're on branch master. Your branch is behind origin master because I haven't pushed to my own repo for a while, according to this one, and can be fast forwarded. Use git pull to update your local branch. Behind origin master. Oh, okay. So origin, it already knows that upstream has got a commit. I haven't used it, and I can pull that down. I could do git pull. Git status again. One behind, git pull. Boom. And we've got a whole bunch of changes. We've also pulled down some Fuji raw changes, which is some other branch that I was working on. I now do git hist 5 again. We'll see that actually my local repo, I hadn't realized there was actually 2 more commits on top of that. Funnily enough, one for me, but usually I do all my work on Ubuntu instead of here. So I actually have 2 repos, one in Ubuntu for firmware and one in Windows for firmware. And I use the one in Windows for running FujiNet PC and the one in Ubuntu for doing development on. So disable hardware SHA stuff that was blowing up previously. Okay, so if I now do a git status, we can actually see that origin master from my other branch has already pushed that. So we should be up to date. Excellent. Now let's bring in I don't have Discord for some reason. Let's bring in Discord. Here we go. We are on firmware and in dev. find it. It's all the way up here. There was a shout out to pull in that one into master. So this is the remote. This is Jeff's own repo here. Can I pop that inside? Yeah. There we go. So Jeff's repo, he's got a Becker branch, and we're going to try and merge that into master. Let's check what remotes I've got. I think I used to have one, but I don't have it anymore. So let's create a new remote. Now, a remote is just a pointer to some other Git repo, and then Git will sort everything out for you. You just need to tell it where it is. So I'm going to call it Jeff. And git remote add Jeff, and then it's that HTTPS. I don't need the tree Becker, I just need FujiNet firmware. Okay, so if I do git remote -v again, which is verbose, which gives you all the pushes and pulls and the full URLs. I just do git remote, it just tells you the name, which is a bit shit. I actually want to know what the repos are. Cool, so we've got these two repos now. So what we can do, I'm winging this because I haven't done it for a while, is we can fetch that Becker branch. Okay, what we're going to do, git fetch all branches from all different places. It'll understand Jeff's stuff, and here we go. So fetch all, we'll fetch all branches, fetch all pointers and whatnot that it's doing, all the repo information, and shove it in my local repo for me if I need to, but doesn't actually change my workspace. So the Git repo locally now knows about Jeff Becker, also knows about these updates and various other things. So here we go. So what we can do is there's a new branch called Becker on Jeff Becker. So what we're going to do is we're going to check out, and we're going to create a new branch locally. Just check out Jeff Becker, I think. Jeff Becker? Oh, that's almost Jeff Beck. Switching to Jeff Becker. You're on a detached head state. Blah, blah, blah. You can look around. And what we've done is checked that out, but we haven't checked out a branch for it. So we're not on a branch, we're just kind of floating around. So we'll follow its advice and we'll say, we want to create a new branch to retain commits. You'll create, you may do so now or with -c with a switch example, which, let's follow its advice, -c, and we'll call it Becker. But locally, I'm now on a branch called Becker. If I do git hist 5 here, we'll see that my local head points to the branch Becker, but it also points to exactly the same thing upstream. So this is telling me the branch Becker on the Jeff repo also points to this commit. So we now know that we're at the same place as Jeff's code. All right, so what we've got here, all we've got is one change in that branch. So either you've completely buggered this up, Jeff, or there is a lot of work in there and you've already rebased. So let's have a look. So I know this is the one that we were looking at before, BB6E, but I think this isn't, because this has got no pointers. So I think this is a rebase of some kind of the old work onto his own, pulling my changes in. So let's have a look at the history, a bit more history. I'm going to decrease the screen size so I can get a few more lines on. And then I'm going to do a git hist, say 30. All right, so we have got, okay, so that's git hist 30. We can see 80B, BB6. If I do a git hist 5 of master, we can see that BOA7, O2D here, different commit IDs. So what he's done is recreated all these commits in your own local repo, right? I do a git status right now from branch Becker, git hist 5 master. So the local, we can see that this number doesn't equal this number, and so on. So I think what you've done is you've got your changes, and they're probably possibly buried in here as well. Fuji IEC plus your fixed debug. So let's have a look at what the list of changes in the head commit. There's just one simple change there. I've got a little alias for that, which lists changes, LC. And then we've also got git dr, diff on a reference, which is head. So that'll just be your change there, which was a %02x to CCC so that we can see it in hex instead. And there. So now what I can see is that we've kind of, it looks like we've got, let's have a look back in history through hist 100, and it'll page for us. And let's see where, if we can see anything from upstream here. See where it went all the way down to. And at the moment it looks like it's been massively rebased to change everything. Well, that's not so good, is it? All right, so let's just check one of these. Let's have a look at that. So close directory returns error code 1. If I do that, if we git hist 100 from master and grep for this commit string, we should see that, which is 62950. And that was the close directory returns error code 1, which is here. So wow, we are completely off there. Sorry, no, wrong. Yep, that's that one. F1D. So I think we need to go even further back. This is very bizarre. Right, so yeah, it looks like somehow you've managed to rebase the whole of history locally. I think that's part of your problem with trying to get it back. Because going back to something from the 8th of June, a couple of weeks ago, the commit ID is different, which shouldn't happen because you're both from the same repo. So potentially we've got the Becker ROM here and 2 ways comms here. Now, is it back to here? Make serial path. Okay, so we've got a load of stuff. Here's a load of Jeff stuff, look, and potentially we've got a merge branch master FujiNet firmware here. Let's see whether or not we've got, let's have a look at, that was master. Okay, so that was master. Master's already got a whole bunch of stuff. What I'm trying to do is work out where the merge difference, where the difference is between the master, which is the upstream, and Jeff's repo at the moment. So this is pure investigation. I didn't look at this at all before I did this. It's why it's taking so long. Let's do git hist. Let's have a really long look back at the current branch, which is the Becker branch. And let's see whether or not we can see anything pointing to origin. We probably won't actually, think about it. However, what we can do is go back. Let's see whether or not you've got a completely diverse problem here. Let's have a look. This is the current Becker branch. I'm looking for 608.5b there. Master rep. Look for that, which I picked in the middle here. That was open dir handle. Where did I find that? That's this one here. So we're looking for 608. And that's on master. 608, excellent. So we're not too far back then. So there is some point at which these two have diverged. But it doesn't go completely all the way back through history. So what can we say about that? Well, it means that, what are we looking at? Yeah, so master and the current branch have a common, at least a common here, right? So I need to find out where they went and diverged, and viewers may have seen it and I missed it. So let's dissect, come back up a bit more. Let's try that one. So bed 83. Nice and easy to remember the code on that one. Start there. Bed 83 on this one. Bed 83 it still is. That's on master. So what date? That was 27th of May. So we're up to around about here, bed 83. And let's go a little bit further up. Might be probably around here. Let's try comic. Here's commit here. Try to receive the message. 846. That's 8462. Oh, well, that's nice and easy. 84620 995. Oh, an all numbers one. Look. Those of you who remember my failure to count the number of those correctly. 84620 995. So we're going to do that again. Instead of this. Receive 84620 995. Excellent. So just before this little bit here, there is commonality at this commit. All right, let's see whether or not we have. Let's see if it starts around about here. So I'm going to paste this little bit of history. All right, so we've got the E1, Abda here, E87. There we go. That's where it changes. Right, so we've got a common point, E87, 67, 8B3 here. And then the commit above that was Tom's. But Jeff's was the start of his work. Okay. So we know that everything from this commit all the way up to the top is a bit mucky. A bit of a. I think we've had a rebase, or some commands have been run, because we can see that the Coco Fuji send add error is here. All right. So what's happened is we've got E87 is good. So let's just put a marker there. So this is Jeff's. Mark this, Jeff. Brand. And we can see that after this, so this is common commit. So we can see that these changes were done, and then what happened was that locally this one got rebased. So what should have happened is these changes should have been applied on top of the current master. So they would have been planted on top of each one. And then this commit here would still be connected to this one, but it isn't. So what we've got is these ones are, and then these are rebased. So we've got a little bit of rework to do. So we've got a whole bunch of changes here. Then we've got a whole bunch of merge stuff in as well. 16th, 19th of the 6th. So that's kind of some 4 days ago stuff. Just do master again. And how far are we off the top there? This is Jeff's branch, which is get directory position, set error code. This is a whole bunch of stuff. That's get directory, set error code. So master also has all these changes here. Set error code, right? What we can do is we can copy this down to, we said that E8 was the same, B19 was not. Right, so this is the actual changes we want. And in fact, this is master. Those changes, I normally wouldn't have to do all this, obviously. I think this is just what we're trying to do is recover from some Git accidents, catastrophe. Hey, there we go. There's a word. It's a catastrophe. So sorry. And then we can see the top of Jeff's here is this. So let's pull these in so that goes into the top of here. Jeff's branch is here. I should get down to, I think that was get Wi-Fi status enable. What was the last one? It was the get directory positions set error code. Get directory positions. And then that is all like these. So these are included, and that'll probably be a double line there. No, read host slots. There we go. So Jeff's branch has these commits. Bump, bump. And these are the bits that he changed. These are the actual bits of work that he did. All of these ones look like they are real commits that were on master look. They're all done by there. And then finally, there's another commit with a very simple bit of debug. Right, so what we want to do, we want to effectively replay this and this on top of master, because everything else is pretty clean. This is fairly simple, because all we've got is a chunk here. We've got some accidental rebasing of all these, and then we've got this. So they've diverged. Master and Jeff's branch, although pulled all these on top, I think it's gone the wrong way around. What you've done is you've rebased the whole of master on top of your own instead of your own on top of master. And because of that, what it did was it said, oh, look, I'm going to have to rebase this. I'm going to have to change the commit because I'm now based on FA9. This one should always be based on E87, if I remember rightly. Yep, so add send. Let's just double check. This one. Add Cocoa, right? Yeah, so we've got to go a little bit further down than this, I think. Yeah, add Cocoa ROM emulation was E87. That's the one that we said was the common. And then after that was add Cocoa ROM emulation. Which I'm now missing. Okay, so this is interesting. So we've actually got a little bit more going on here. Before we do anything, let's make sure we've got this right. So where this was master, I went down to B19. Just check I've done that. That is, no, that's Jeff's, that's why. Yeah, that's Jeff's. So let's do this on master again and capture these. So we're capturing master, it was B19 here, and then it went to E7, right? Cool. So it was there. Place that here. Right, just to make sure that we've captured where the branching point is. We know that that's there. Okay, so add send error. Its commit in Jeff's code is here, FF9, that's right. And it should be based on E87, but add send error, instead of being B19 and based on E87, i.e. its direct connection here, that's these two stars connected, it is connected to FA9, and that's why, because a commit ID, you can't have the same ID against this one as you would do against this one. That's why this has changed. So, you know, it takes into account its parent ID when it's deciding what its own commit is, and date timestamp and various other things in the commit message itself. So it's kind of a hash of a load of bits of information. But the parent is also involved so that we can make this relationship here. So double checking on Jeff's again. Make sure we've captured everything. So that's right, that's Jeff's change here. The start of that was the FA9 down to E87, which is here with the 715. So, okay, I haven't lost anything. We've got these commits here and this commit here. And we want those to all be brought to the top of master. Okay, so because this is in a bit of a buggered state, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new branch and then apply these changes individually, because we kind of lost our way. And I don't think it's worth trying to rebase all this in this branch and all those kind of things. It's way too many commits here. But we've got a nice bunch of discrete commits here, and this one. And what we'll do is we'll simply play these on top of the current master. So what we can do, there is a concept in Git called cherry picking, and you can cherry pick a commit here. We probably could just we could try and merge from these two branches to master, and it may work, but you're going to get some hideous commits because these ones will be in conflict with the different ones. So what we don't want to do is merge. And the reason why we're not going to merge is because this, if you imagine the line of commits here going up this tree, so it's got this commit here, and then its parent is this one, and this one, and this one. And then on this branch, all these commits are in that branch, but they're also in master as different commits. So what we're going to end up, if we were to merge this commit here and the current master, which is this commit here, we would end up with a new commit here. It would be like there'd be a merge commit, put that there, but it would have 2 points, right? One of which would be Jeff's latest change here, plus everything else below it. And I'll write it here, BB6, 1, 5D, comma, ... That entire line, all these commits would be in this history here. But we'd also have that there. We'd also have this one here. Right, commit here. And this one would be the real master, which would be a boa here. That would be boa and so on. And we'd create this hell merge, I'm going to call it, which would contain both lines. So merging, although it's safer and keeps all of the commits, the problem in this case is it would be duplicating work, and you'd probably end up with a real mess, because when it tries to merge these two things, it would say, whoa, all kinds of things going on. I don't know what's going on. When all we want to do is keep these few commits. We don't want any of these ones. They're copies of the master. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're not going to merge. We're going to cherry pick. And after analysis, we have found that the common commit was this. We know that everything below there is safe because that commit ID is the same here and here. And we know everything below that is safe. We know that all of these commits are to do with the current master. So let's just go create a new branch. We'll call it Becca2 lols. And then we're going to, so let's get check out minus branch. Oh, no, we want to get checkout master first. We've got to branch it off here. We don't want to branch it off that other commit. That would have been a huge sin. So we've checked out master, and now we want a branch off the current master, which is 5. We can see that is origin. Actually, we're not upstream yet. Let me just run upstream. Right, just to, as I always say, Git status is your friend. I'm on origin master, which is my fork. I'm going to run upstream, pull all changes down. Oh, and there was a template fix. List 5, we should now see the upstream masters there. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to make sure that the upstream master that we're all trying to get back into was my current commit here. Okay, so that was the boa commit. I was one commit behind, so that's boa there. There it is, and I've just pulled this chain down from Jan, who's added those lovely, lovely icons, the PC link and the emulator. Well done, mate. Right, so I have got that. I can, if I do a git status again, always good to have git status. It tells me my branch is ahead of my fork by 1 commit, and I can push those. So I'm going to push those so that my fork is up to date with master. So if I do git hist again, I can see that my head pointed to master, my upstream and the upstream master, and origin master, and origin head. And they're all basically the same pointer to the same commit, i.e. this thing. These literally are pointers like C++ pointers, and they or C pointers, and they point to a commit. That's all they're really doing. The very, very, very lightweight things. They just allow you to point to something. Right. So we have the list of commits that we want to cherry pick. So we're going to go through them from the bottom up. And I'm going to, oh no, I need to, I'm on master. So we could do this on master, because ultimately we want them to go into master. But what I'll do is I'll do it in master. I'll do it in a branch. Back to, right, if I do get hist 5, we should see that now we've got head is pointing to this branch because I'm on this branch, switched to the new branch. My head commit is pointing to the Becker2 branch. It also, this commit, as we know, is also what is represented by upstream master and origin master. So my fork, FujiNet Wi-Fi fork, or the master itself. My heads for origin master, so my own forks repo says, hey, this is the current head over there as well. And also it's locally my master. So all of these references point to one commit, and that's that one. Well, now we're going to do git cherry pick, and we're going to take that 71575, should still be in my history there. To do that, you can see Becker2, we've now got a commit, captures LSB of reads and writes, blah, blah, blah. It should be the same message as this. Cool. And it's even kept that it's Jeff Heitmeyer. If I now do git hist 5, you can see that we've now got a new commit on top of the head commit. All these commit pointers are still pointing to that commit. And we've now got our commit on top of there. We're actually in a branch, so master still points to this one, but our branch, our Becker2 branch, points to this commit. So we've cherry picked that one change. And we're just going to go through this, and I might put some comedy. Right, so git hist. Let's just do git hist 10. And now what we can see is, yay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 commits here. And that should equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 commits. Right, so now master's there. We've got our 9 commits on top of that. What we can do, we can push this as Becker2 so that we've got a copy of this. And then what we can do, we could have, just so that we've got the history, right? So we're going to push. That will tell me I can't because I don't have an upstream Becker2. That's okay. I only created Becker2 locally. It doesn't know about it in my fork, so it tells me, hey, you can't do that. I don't know anything about that yet. So I'm going to set the upstream origin to that, push, and tell it's there. Right, so now on my repo, as it says here, oh, it tells me I can do a rebase of that. I can do a pull request of it. Now I've created Becker2 there. Now what I'm going to do, controversially, is create Becker3, just as an illustration of something else that we can do. So we're going to keep Becker2 because we want that branch header still to point to that list of 10 commits or 9 commits on top of master. We can see Becker2 is there, right? So now we're going to do git checkout -b Becker3 or Becker rebase. I'm going to call it Becker rebase because we're going to rebase the changes, right? So we now have, we've now got 9 commits, one of which is like fix a debug message, and all these different things. So one of the things we can do is squash them all. We've talked about squashing before, so that they're a single commit. So what I could do, and let's have a look at what the difference is. Let's do git if master, because master is still, we see that master is still there, and I should have done that. That's an accidental mouse button push. Git diff of master to and head. Use that. All right. Head. And what that will tell us is all the changes that are in between those two commits. So this is the sum of all changes that Jeff has made. We can see some white space fun there. Some changes to, yeah, white space at the end. And there we go. That gets to the end. All right. So we've got all of those changes, but what we could do is rebase them all down to one change. So if I do get hist 10 again, you should see masters there. So we know that we've got 9. I'm being very verbose here, but I'm trying to explain. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When we want to squash 9 commits down to 1, we use the following command. We do git rebase minus interactive head, and then we specify that 9. We've got 9 commits we want to rebase, okay, interactively. Say, all right, take the top 9 commits. And here we can see it's saying, all right, cool. It does them in reverse order now. We can see that the bottom one is the fix debug. That was the latest. When you're doing this, we want to change all these picks to squash. It's what it's doing. It's giving us the opportunity. You can see all the commands down here. There. You can pick, you can reword, you can edit, you can squash, you can fix up, you can do execute, a command, all kinds of stuff. You can interact with this list with all these commands, and it will basically apply those commands for you in between each commit in a kind of a scripty way of doing things. But mostly all I use it for is rebasing commit. Okay, so we're going to do S for squash. Could type the word squash as well. Too lazy. It's Sunday morning and I'm fixing Git problems. So we're going to pick the first one and then we're going to squash all the rest into it. Now that'll work because we know that those commits were all kind of independent or flowing, and they should all work fine. Let's quit out of here. Do I want to save? Yes. Boom. And then what it does is it presents us with the, hey, look, this is the combination of 9 commits. And now it's asking us, do you want to do a message for all of this? So I'm going to call it Jeff's Fuji Apple Cocoa. What should we call it? Do we want to put anything else? Becca. Let's call it, delete down to here. Put in, Becca ROM. I can't think of anything better. That's the single commit message that we're going to do for all of those. Boop. And there we go. It's squashed all those. And now if I do git hist 5, we can see that 834, which is our master, is 1 commit. And we've just squashed all those 9 commits down into one Jeff Becker ROM work. Okay. And that is where my Jeff Becker rebase commit is. The fact is we've still got Becker 2. All right, git hist 10 Becker 2. That was the Becker 2 was, I kept that deliberately because these commits they still exist in the repo. Right, they're all still there. They're still on this branch. This is a pointer to some commit. So in the repository in the background, all those commits still are there. So the broken down changes are still in the repo. So this is why I was saying these numbers are important, and it's good to capture them before you do any work because they're always still in your repo. So if you find that you do a rebase or you do something and you screwed it up by deleting some lines accidentally when you merged or fixed the merge problem, then these commits, these original ones, are still here. They're immutable objects. Even when you rebase and you're creating a new commit, the old commit still exists. As long as you know what that number is, you can get back to it, right? So I could do, we've got the Becker rebase here. I could change, so I could do git reset hard for Becker 2. If I do that, then what I've done, I wouldn't do this normally unless you know what you're doing, but that's changed my Becker rebase commit to this commit here. This commit here, the name of it is that commit. So if I do git hist 3, you'll see that we are on 434 and the parent is this. And now Becker 2 and Becker rebase point to the same thing. So that's what that's doing. It's saying, I'm on a branch, but I want you to change my current commit to this one over here, to the Becker 2 branch. Now, nothing is pointing to this anymore. Okay, because head pointing to Becker rebase is now on this commit. But it doesn't mean that this commit is vanished. What I'm going to do, as in the pudding, is reset our current branch, which is Becker rebase, to that squashed commit. Okay, and then if I do git hist again 3, we can see now we're back on this OE6, this one here. And the reason why I kept that very short so it didn't scroll off the screen, not that it matters because I've got a scroll history, but we've got that commit ID there and we can jump back to it. So we've reset hard to that. So now Becker rebase, we're resetting the commit ID or the pointer to point to a particular commit ID. And when you do this, you can either point it to the commit ID itself or the name of a reference that points to it. Ultimately, we can use pointers to these things and use the names instead of the commit IDs themselves, which is what I did in the first one. I did a git reset hard to Becker 2, which is a pointer to a commit, and it told us, all right, I'm going to change that to 434. And then on this one, I actually picked commit ID as well, because that is the only thing in the repo. It's just floating around with no pointers to it at the moment. The only pointer to it was Becker rebase and head, but they got moved when I did this, and you can see that they're here. So the only way we can jump back to this is if you keep in your scroll back history, you can see all the commits that you've done. Right, so now what we've got is a single commit representing all of Jeff's work, and but without all of the changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the Becker 2 and the Becker rebase upstream. We can always delete them later so that they're in the main repo. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge that back into master and push it into master. And then we can decide whether or not we want to get rid of those branches or not. Okay. So we're going to push, and it's going to tell us you can't because we don't have a remote yet called that. Sorry, we don't have an upstream branch called Becker rebase. So it tells us you need to do that. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that. I'm going to git push stream. Now that's telling it push this commit, this branch on this commit to the upstream remote, and that will do, and because that is a remote, it will tell us, oh look, I've created this. So we now have a Becker rebase, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to check out Becker 2. Okay, I'm going to make sure that this is pushed. I think it is. Yep, everything is up to date. We'd already pushed this up, but we haven't pushed it upstream. All right, upstream. Right, so that has now created 2 new commits. Now, if I look in dev, is that, yep. So here we can see the Becker rebase has been pushed, which is the single OOE6, and then there's the 9 commits in Becker 2. So we've got the history, got the new one. What we're now going to do is rebase it. We're going to merge it into master. Now, because we were building our commits on top of master, we know that they're already in the right place. But this is where we could have done an upstream. This is where the upstream command comes in useful. So if I check out the Becker rebase, because that's the one that we're going to merge into master, the single squashed commit, as an example of how to do squashed commits and how to push those in so we got one commit change. If you want the history, that's why I've pushed it into Becker 2. And if anybody needed to look at that, we can see that Becker 2 is still there and it's in upstream. We can delete it at some point if you don't need to know the individual commits in there. But generally, if you're doing a feature branch, it's nice to get everything down into that one commit, because unless that piece of work has lots of changes that you want to know what the history was for particular points in that line, then it is more advisable to squash them down into one. Right. So here we go. So we are now on Becker rebase. Actually, what we want to do is check out master. We want to check out the target. Oh no. I wanted to do upstream. Sorry. So now what we can do is run upstream. Now what upstream.sh is going to do is it's going to say, right, I am on the Becker rebase. I'm on Becker rebase. I think that upstream Becker rebase is there. And in fact, I think upstream master is here. So we're not going to have any problem here because we're already on top of it. But if somebody had commit some changes on top of 83467 and our changes needed to then go on top of that one, the commit in between these two, then we can run upstream. But if there isn't anything, it doesn't hurt either. So I run upstream here, fetching upstream changes, rebasing local changes with external. You may need to fix merge conflicts. Current branch Becker is up to date. So it's done all of that and everything looked fine. And because of this little message here already up to date, I know that when it pulled master, so what it does, it switches quickly to master, does a fetch of everything on there, merges all those changes into my local, and then tries to rebase my changes on top of that. It said, oh, actually, there's nothing there. So if I do a git hist, it's dropped us back into Becker rebase. It now knows that upstream, yep, it still says upstream is there. So everything is a hunky-dory and we are rebased on top of it, but there was no changes. So we can see that OOE6 is still OOE6. Had there been some changes, I would then push that back up to my fork with a force change, because if you've already pushed it upstream, then you need to force those changes. If you're just doing it locally, that's fine. You don't need to, because there is nothing on the remote yet. So now what we can do is we're going to merge them into master. The master branch have our changes. So we get master. Now what we're going to do, this is a merge. It is merged because what we're going to do is pull them, but with a fast forward only. Okay, or yes, we're merging the changes, but we're telling it, I only want you to do this if you can do it without creating a git merge ff only, fast forward only. If you can do it without creating a merge commit, then I want you to do it. If you can't, then don't. So it's saying ff only means fast forward. Now what it's done is it's pulled all those changes in, and we now have locally my master commit is now on the Jeff Becker one. It's also the Becker rebase, because obviously that's the branch. It's also my forks Becker rebase, and it's also my local Becker rebase. But mostly, the most important bit is that my master currently on this commit, and it's the one ahead of the upstream master. So we're now one commit, one above the master. We're now one ahead of our own fork. So what we can do first of all is git push this to our fork. We're on master, remember. Git status. We can see we're on master. We've just pushed those changes up to my local repo. So it said, oh, your local repo, your fork was at 834, which is this one. I've now pushed it up to 00E6, which is that one. We push one commit. Okay, we did do the upstream. We're pretty certain that nobody's made any changes there. So could do one last safety check with it upstream, but generally it's probably not worth it. You've done that now, and it'll tell you if there's a problem. So git push upstream. So we're finally going to push those changes into the master branch on FujiNet Wi-Fi. And that was a very, very long way of talking around what had happened, where I could see that there were problems, i.e. that there were commits that had been rebased that were already master, because what had happened was the master had been rebased on top of your branch instead of your branch being rebased on top of master. Upstream will always try and rebase your changes on top of master. You always make sure that you're in your current branch that you want to rebase, the one with your commits on, and then you type upstream.sh. And that will say, all right, I'll fetch the upstream changes down into your own local master branch. And then what I'll do is I'll push all your changes in your current branch on top of that and put you back in your branch where you were. Otherwise, unless there's conflicts. Okay. And that is it. I've been talking for way too long. My throat is very dry, so hopefully that's come out and won't need too much editing. Anyway, that's merging changes. Cheers.